Okay, so we talked about different nutrients and how they're used by the body, so I want to talk about actual feeding programs of small animals. So major ways in which nutrients are used. So there's several different types of rations or functions of rations. So a maintenance ration, these are rations that are high in carbohydrates and fats, and this is really just a ration that is designed to keep the animal constant. So organs all functioning, heart beating, lungs breathing, that sort of thing. No gain, no loss of weight. There's a growth ration. Growth rations are rations that are high in energy, high in protein, and this increases the animal's body size. There's also a reproduction ration or a reproductive ration. This is a ration that contains the largest amount of protein, minerals, and vitamins of any ration. So reproductive rations improve contraception rates, also breeding ability for males, contraception rates for females, and they're very important for producing live, healthy offspring that have a good, solid birth weight. So basically when they say a mama is eating for two, they're not kidding. All right, so you really have to bump up her nutrient intake so that the fetus can also take advantage of those nutrients. So not only do you have to make sure that mama is appropriately fed and has the appropriate nutrients that she needs, but you also have to make sure that the baby is getting the nutrients that it needs to grow and develop. So you're essentially feeding two rations. You're feeding a maintenance ration to mama, and you're feeding a growth ration to that fetus. Lactation rations, these are rations used for lactating mothers, okay, or milk producing females. This encourages large milk production. They're very high in protein, very high in calcium, very high in phosphorus. So these are the same nutrients that are contained in the milk. So you need to give her enough protein, calcium, and phosphorus to meet her basic needs, as well as ensure that those nutrients are high in value in her milk. There's also a work and activity ration. These are rations that need increased amounts of fats and carbohydrates, so your increased energy. And this really is satisfying the need for performance. Okay, so these examples of these would be hunting dogs that are chasing game. Your police dogs are usually fed a work ration because they're working hard. They're having to track. They're having to follow perpetrators. They're working hard. They're using a lot of energy. They need good, solid energy stores to keep their bodies functioning appropriately. So feeding program terminology. So these are just some basic terms that you need to know. So a diet. This is the feed and water that an animal receives on a daily basis. So this is the amount and type of feedstuff or ingredients. It's based on a couple different things. One, what the animal needs at the time. Okay, so what ration is it on? Is it on a maintenance ration? Is it on a work ration? What type of ration is it on? And then also the other thing is the kinds and amounts of nutrients that are contained in the feed. So if you have a feed that's high in carbohydrates and fats, you're going to want to feed that to an animal that's on a work ration. Whereas if you have a feed that's high in protein, high in calcium and high in phosphorus, you might want to feed that to either a mother that's pregnant or a mother that's lactating. A good diet has to be palatable. So palatable is just a fancy word for it's got to taste good. Palatability means that the diet is digestible and it appeals to the animal. I'm sorry. If a diet's not palatable and an animal doesn't eat it, you could have the best nutrients in that food possible, but if the animal doesn't eat it, it does them absolutely no good. So a ration. So this is a term that refers to a feed that contains the right amount and proportion of nutrients. So a balanced ration has all the nutrients needed in the correct amounts, and this is based on the function that the animal is serving. A quality ration is also dependent upon taste. Kind of already talked about this a little bit, but a good nutritious feed doesn't do the animal good if it isn't eaten. You need to make sure that the animal actually consumes the food in order to gain the nutrients from it. So different feed classifications. So roughages or forages. These are made up of leafy greens and also the tender stems of plants. So roughages are things like your hays and your grasses, that sort of thing. These are materials that are fed typically to rabbits and guinea pigs, animals that can digest a large amount of roughagages. Concentrates. Concentrates are recommended for small animals as a regular part of their diet. Concentrates are typically very high in energy or protein. High energy diets include items like corn, wheat, sorghum, barley, rye, and oats. High protein diets include things like soybean oil meal, cottonseed oil meal, and sunflower meals. Pretty much if it has the word meal in the name, you know it's a protein source. And then supplements. So these are feed materials that contain a specific nutrient. So, for example, you could have a supplement that is high in different types of minerals, or a supplement that's high in different types of vitamins. If your feed is lacking in one of those areas, you can purchase a supplement to give to your animals, and that helps supplement their diet with whatever nutrients they might need. We're going to talk about specific diets in the next video.